Hello everybody and welcome back to episode number 42 here in the Systematic Factory. Today we're going to be doing a lot of work here on Hazardato. We're going to be using the radiation we get from our nuclear reactor to create some Radbolt rockets that will enable us to get all the rest of our work done. The reason I'm doing the Radbolt rockets is because I just wanted to try something different. I've never done them before. And so we have a lot of things I want to do to get us to the point where we can start automating our rocketry. First thing is, now that we have nuclear power running, I don't need the old power system, and so I've already started removing it. So I removed all the power generation, fuel creation, and I removed our arbor trees. We're removing everything else as well, and we're going to get that done. The main reason for that is that I want to use this space to set up a couple of things. The main goal in the end is to have some farms here that produce two things. I want to do grilled mushroom wraps, which we'll use to feed the bulk of our colony because we're running low on food from our old systems that used barbecue and fish to make surf and turf. I want to have ones that I can just make some wild planted crops and just let them sit them, forget them, and then just cook up the ingredients and make some food. I also want to make some berry sludge. And the reason for that is because using rehydrated food in the rockets is fine. It's been working great. It was fun to try it. But it is extra space I don't really need. Because if I make berry sludge, it doesn't ever spoil. It doesn't ever go off. And so we can just do that for the future. So that's the goal. We're going to be moving a lot of things around in here, getting some things cleaned out from the old systems, putting in some new systems. It's probably going to take quite a bit of time, but we will get through it. I'm going to finish removing everything here, and then we'll come back. Things have been going a little bit slow in our work here, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that I had a couple of things kind of break on me. Let's go down and show you the petroleum generators first. So I had set up some automation so that our petroleum generators would shut off when we didn't need the power in our new battery box. And I wasn't thinking about the fact that the main reason that we run our petroleum generators non-stop is because if the petroleum backs up in our boiler, it causes issues. And so what happened is, since we were not pumping out the petroleum, the crude oil was still flowing in. It filled up this system. It actually filled up to the point where it was filled up with petroleum all the way to here, and it spilled over the top, and it came down and built up down here, and it burned out everything. So the things were hot. They were so hot that they were taking damage. They're actually still super hot and taking damage, but I still need to do a little bit more work on it. But I got things fixed up, and I set up a new automation so that it will continue running when we start to get backed up in petroleum. And I'm probably going to work that out just a little bit better going forward. But we've also been doing a lot of work over here. Still a lot to go, but I got all of the farm stuff for the trees moved out, and most of this is now gone, and I'm just getting things kind of prepped and cleaned for the future so that we can get things going. We've got plenty of power from a nuclear reactor that we could just keep running for quite some time. We have lots of bees working, getting us uranium from our uranium ore, and so we don't even have to worry about it for quite a bit of time. But the main thing is just slowly removing all the old system. So I'm going to continue working on that, and we'll come back once we have some more progress finished with that. I've been getting some work done over here with this system, and I didn't show us building all of it because this is really similar to what we built on the main colony. But I have had an opportunity to do some things a little different from what I've learned from when I was doing it. And part of that is adding in these solar panels so that we have some power from it. We don't really need the solar panels because we have plenty of power, but extra power is never a bad thing. And I put in a row of mesh tile above them, just so that everything that falls down lands there. They would be okay if they landed on the solar panels, but I just like it better here. I'm considering setting up a system to sweep it all up, but frankly, it can sit up here and just wait until we need it just as easily. Maybe down the road we could do something like that. But the main thing that's pretty cool about this system, and I'm trying to design it this way, is I'm putting in a coolant system here. I'm also adding in a second aqua tuner, so I made it a little bigger because I'm going to be using this for something else. But the main thing that I'm doing is I'm trying to make this self-contained. So I want the solar panels to give us enough charge that we can store it in batteries to keep everything here running. So it's self-running, self-cooled, and I don't really need to do that on this colony because we have the nuclear power. We can connect it up. Everything will run just fine. But as we go forward and we go to other planetoids throughout the system, if we want to set up a similar system, then we can kind of copy and paste this. And as long as that planet gets enough light that it keeps us powered up, we don't have to worry about adding power to this system. So I need to add in some battery power to it, and we need to do a few more things like that. But this system uses the conduits for cooling, and it is it cools down the robo-miners, cools down the batteries. I also really like this touch. I decided the main colony, the wiring was a real mess. So these spaces where I'm going to be leaving the bunker tiles, I'm putting large power transformers underneath there, because they'll be fine there. Nothing's going to land on them, and we can cool them. And then we have the ability to connect our heavy wires up, which we are using to hit the robo-miners, and then we can just run out one wire for our bunker doors. And I have it set up here so that this wire can do all of these bunker doors and both the space scanners, and we're still underneath the 2K limit. And we only need 2 space scanners because it's like a percentage of the sky, and over here the sky is not quite as big. So if we have 2, we're at 74. That means that we're getting a detection of incoming meteors at 148 seconds, which is plenty of time to get our bunker doors closed. So I'm going to finish working out and getting all this in, get our coolant system here up and running so we can connect that to here. Right now we have a loop that's running all the way to our old system down here, just so that things don't overheat while we're doing it. But we are going to finish that up. I also have plenty of space over here where I can start installing rocket bays once we get everything else finished up. Just doing some testing here. I finished up the battery box. In this case, I didn't do a sealed battery box where I put in some gas so that I can do some heat exchange and have to put drywall on the back. I just left it open like this, and I'm using conduction panels in order to do the cooling. It works just great. And this system is doing all the cooling. It hasn't quite gotten to the point where it actually even needs to turn on the aqua tuner yet, because it's not a lot of heat, but it'll get there, and this will work just fine. What I was testing here was we had the bunker doors closed because of the meteors, and now they're opening up. We still don't have any solar panels. We haven't ever since the doors closed. We won't for another couple of minutes, because we have, after these doors start to open, we wait 3 minutes to open these, so we still got about 2 minutes left. But our power is doing just fine. And this is not connected to our main grid. It's just running off the power that it got from the solar panels, and it's going to keep running, and it's going to do fine. I'm pretty sure this would be fine even if it hit in the middle of the night, because this is closed for 4 or 5 minutes, and power is not even close to halfway down. So that means this system could be self-contained. It could hold itself even while it's mining, even while it's opening and closing doors, even while it's cooling. The system will hold its own. So even if it can't get power from the grid for whatever reason, it'll just keep running. So this is pretty much done. We're ready to be done with our meteor shield for the scanner section. That does give us some input from our meteorites, so we get some regolith, we get some gold, we get some other things as well, which is pretty cool. But It's mostly just so that we can have the scanners working so that when we start adding our rocket bays, then we can use this system to detect everything. Keep it going. Next thing I want to work on is I built this system here when I was doing the job suitability achievement. I wanted every duplicant to be in their own little apartment. That way I could manage them going in and out. Turns out I didn't even really need that because they fixed the job suitability achievement so that I think when I looked into it, the change was that more jobs counted. It used to be like you had very specific jobs you needed to do, but because they made it so more things counted for that achievement, I just passed it without even trying. I still had to have everybody going into a suit every day, but I didn't have to micromanage it at all. This system is not the most efficient way to have the apartment set up. It does give us all the boosts and stuff. We get a private bedroom, mess hall, washroom. This would be a great hall if I finished it out. I never even got around to doing that. We get the nature reserve, all that. But this is a lot of space for each duplicate. And on this colony, space is kind of at a premium. So I want to condense this down and make a system up underneath our meteor blocking system here, which houses them in a more condensed way. They'll each have their own bedroom, but then we'll have one great hall that holds all of them. I also want to expand this area so I can have more duplicates here. It might not be for long term, but I want to be able to bring more people in, get them ready to go on to rocket trips. I'm also considering having people in rockets that just live in there full time, and then I'll have to manage that, and then I can automate the rockets. That'll be a little bit down the road. I want to finish this first. So we're going to work on first, we'll get a bedroom set up, and we'll get some temporary stuff set up for Great Hall and bathroom up here so that we can move everybody out of this system into the new one, and then we're just going to rip all of this out. And then that will give us, if we move this stuff as well, we'll have this area, we'll have all of this, and we'll be able to put in a lot of farm space, because the goal is to make farms that are planted by the pips, and then they're going to be just wild farms that aren't dupe harvested. So we'll just have auto sweepers that are in picking up everything and shipping it off to our kitchen. And the only thing the dupes will do is take the ingredients and cook them, and they won't have to go in at all. But it's a lot of early setup to get it working, and then later on it's a very minimal work, and we just have infinite food forever. Gotten the first stage of our new apartments set up, so I'm just going to briefly go over all the things that we're doing here. It's probably going to change a little bit, but for now I have 7 bedrooms across the top. I did a couple of the different beds just to play around with them, but they all have their own comfy bed. They all have some decorations. They have plenty of decorations here and diamond window tiles. And so when we look at the decor overlay, we have a ton of it, just a ton. So like everywhere you look, it's maxed out, which means things should be pretty good for morale purposes. Do need to do some stuff around here. It looks like on the ends we have some problems. Uh-oh, somebody's trapped. Oh, I think it was just a temporary thing because they're doing some work down here. I also, while I was working on that, have been doing some work down here, collecting some of the water from all of the ice that's been melting, because I've been heating this area up to get the ice to melt. Now I'm cooling it back down because I need it to be cold for the beta hive. So I'm separating them out into different sections so that the bees don't have to travel that far, and I'm getting multiple ones set up to harvest uranium, because this one, well, it looks like this one is done now. So these are going to end up going away. And we have this one here that still has a ton to do, but I want to get all of this out too. And the reason you want to have the bees harvest them is because the When you mine the uranium, you lose half of it, and then when they use the uranium off the ground, then you get just 90% of it, and so you end up getting like 45% of uranium if you mine it. If you let them grab it off here, you get 90%. So you double out your output if you just let them do their thing and collect all the uranium and bring it in. We have tons of uranium stockpiled anyway, but I want to get all of it out that I can so that we can have this go as long as possible before we have to worry about getting a renewable source of uranium set up. So this is an ongoing project while I wait for stuff to get done as well. But right now, I want to move somebody in here just to make sure everything's going to work out. So what I did is I set up a airlock system here, just kind of temporary. They can come out, then they go back in. So this has oxygen in it, and then that way we don't have to worry about the gases mixing. The cooling I did, this loop is now coming through on the diamond window tiles and cooling them down, which keeps everything else pretty cool. You can see the top room is already cold. This one we just built, so some of the materials were hot when they got placed. They're cooling down, but it's going to do pretty well for keeping everything nice and cool. So, in order to move somebody in, this is Morty's room. We're just going to go through and remove the systems that are here. And so I'm going to do this at a higher priority. We're going to do this one. We're going to move his mess table. We're also going to remove the door and the Atmo suits. And actually remove the bathroom stuff as well. Pretty much we're just going to do everything and let it go so that we can see him come in and get it. Once this bed is gone and the mess table's gone, he's going to not have another one down here. And so when it's time for him to go to his room... oh, hold on. I think I had that set on all. Now I'm probably messing all kinds of things up. I am. Sometimes you got to be careful with this stuff because you don't do it quite right. I have oxygen going up there. That's good. I just accidentally severed that power line, which goes to all three of these. So that would be a problem. So we'll have to get that fixed real quick. So let's set that to a super high priority and make sure they fix it right away. But so now that that door's gone and the atmosuit dock is gone, that means that people can get in. Oh, I guess it empties out the gas that's in there directly in. I wonder if there's a way to empty them out. Doesn't matter. Right now this gas is just working its way up into the top. We'll deal with getting this gas all sorted out later. I just want to get people moved in. So Morty is on. I also set up schedules for this colony that are separate. So Morty's on the night shift. He still has about half a day before he's going to go to downtime. He's good. We'll get all this stuff moved out. Take this out. For this one, I want to do this part first because I don't want to take out the automation and then just have it empty out my whole line into one spot. That would not be great. Oh, I did the same thing here. Probably had a bunch of water spill down too, didn't I? Sure did. Alright, so gases are still fine. Power's fine. And once we fix that pipe, then this will be fine as well. So now he's taken out. That's. We'll get the bedroom done before the end of your shift. Perfect. So now we can wait and see when his shift is over, which is not long, if he goes up and finds himself a new bed and reassigns it. So let's work on there, shoot, deconstruct that. After that, we can deconstruct the rehydrator and the automation. Like I said, I just didn't want this to start dropping all of our food out before we had it handled. And then, since we're working from the top down, we can just delete that. Those will fall on the ground. Do the same over here for these. Then we can do this. And we can take this line off here up. Cool. All right, let's see. Where is Morty? Ah, okay, so he did assign a new bed and a mess table. And he's heading that way now, it looks like. Oh, he took food with him from down here. He could have gotten it here, but that's okay. So now he's eating his dinner. He's happy. I think I'm going to change this bathroom up because I don't like... I was experimenting with doing it so that they would pass through and they would wash their hands either way. But it's a lot of space for not a lot of bathroom. So I think I'll probably put it so that there's a closed section here. Maybe with some mesh tiles to allow airflow. And then that way they have to come in from this side and then they go back out. 'Cause then I can get another lavatory and another shower out of the space without sacrificing anything. And with my scheduling, right now I only have 2 people in each schedule. My plan is to double the size of the population here. So even if I do that, I might have to add in a 5th schedule to make it happen. But uh-oh, somebody trapped again. Oh, I think she was just temporarily because the suit hadn't filled back up with air. That's no problem. But everything looks like it's working fine. I'm going to move everybody else out, and we can start deconstructing this and work on expanding this down. Eventually, this will be over in the middle so that the entry will come up through here. They'll have to come in through this side. This is temporary to make it so that we can make things work. But we'll have it all one self-contained structure before we're done. Just popping back in real quick. We haven't done any more work up here except for moving people in. But I just wanted to show you how ridiculously effective this system is. The decor bomb. So if we look at under skills, we can see it really easily. When we come down here and we look at each of our people. So this is Beth. Beth gets 12 extra morale because of the decor. Never say that right. Decor from the last cycle. So does Morty. So does Pickle Rick. So does Amy. So does Linda. Bender. And Travolta. Look how crazy that morale is. So the way that works is when we look at their morale, they get it's the average over the last cycle, and 120 is the maximum. And so because they're spending the time in here where it is so high, it shoots their average up really high. So when they have to run around through sections with the heavy watt wire and stuff all over the ground, and like if we look at this is the only spot that's really nice. A couple little spots, but mostly it is a nightmare for the decor. But the time they spend here is such a large portion of their day, and they're in such good levels all the time that it just bombs them, and so we don't even have to worry about it anywhere else. That's why we do that. It's expensive because these are all made of gold and these are made of diamond, but I have a lot of gold. And I also have a lot of diamond. Even more if we go to the other side. So it's all good. So the goal is now we're going to move in. We're going to make space for another row. We're going to move the Atmosuit dock down. We're going to put in some basement work to make it so that we can do everything for this all in one contained space. And then we're going to have this moved out. The other thing I've been working on is building a place for the pips down here, because I want to rip this out and all of this out so that we will have space to go all the way over here to do farming. And so my goal with the power, we pull up the power grid. Traditionally, on maps, I put a power spline down the side, and then I run power across. This time, I'm going to change it up, and I'm going to make it, because our reactor's down here, I'm going to run a line the whole way across the bottom. And that way, we can do power up off of that to connect everything. And then I'm just going to have a real thin line going up here to connect to the grid up here. And we'll just have a real, like, small space here. That way we can maximize the amount of space we can use for farming. We're already kind of limited. We can't move this thing because of the volcano. Can't move the saltwater geyser. We have another one here. So this area, why I chose to put this here, because this is already kind of... We could put stuff in here, but it's not a huge space. If I go from here up all the way to the edge of the map, that's a lot of rows for farming, and it's very wide. Which is good, because I have 4 different crops I need to farm, and they need different atmospheres and different temperatures. So we're going to need a lot of space in order to make things work the way that we want to. I have a few more things to finish up with getting everything working here, but it's all cleanup work, and everything is working now. Seeing as it's almost 5 in the morning, I am going to just show you the last little bits here, and then we'll clean it up between now and the next episode. So, I moved in our Atmosuit checkpoint here. Automation is real simple. We just have one that picks up any suits that are dropped. So if it's a worn one or it's a regular one that gets dropped for some reason, it gets picked up, sent over here, dropped off. The worn ones get put into the exosuit forge, which gets repaired, and then it gets put in here, which gets loaded back up so that we have them ready right here. These sweepers can both grab that one and keep this stocked up. So if I have one that doesn't have a suit and we say deliver suit, it will quickly grab one, put the suit in, we're good to go. I also have mod on that fixes some... Every once in a while there's an issue with the Atmosuit checkpoint where it doesn't register that a suit was worn, so it doesn't put a new one in. It just checks to fix that. So if this one stays long for more than, or empty for more than a cycle, that means that somebody had time to come back and not fill it, but they didn't. Then it will just put a new suit in. So these will always stay stocked for us. We can always have suits ready for our people to go. We have all the bedrooms are good. Everything else is good. Bathroom now has 3, which on our schedules, we have no more than 3 people on a schedule. In fact, I just brought somebody new over, and so I have to put them onto Hazardato's 2nd shift. I brought several people over that were pilots from the other side. And do I have anybody else? Nope, that's all of them. Nope, here, this one goes on Hazardato's 3rd shift. Now we have 3, we got 3, 3, and 2. If I bring in enough to fill these other 3 beds, that means that I would end up with 3 here, and then I would be putting a 4th on these. Instead of doing that, I'll add in a 5th shift, so that way there's never more than 3 people trying to use the bathrooms at once. I set up the cooling loop to come down here and keep these thimble reeds here cool. That handles any of our wastewater from the bathroom. They just get fed right into the thimble reeds. And this can keep up with all of our duplicants, even if we have a full complement, without any problem, as long as it stays at the right temperature. But the whole base is staying cooled using this coolant loop. So we're going to have no issues there. Down here, I am moving in these reservoirs. I want to keep a nice long storage. This is enough reservoirs to hold all the output of this during its active period, which is overkill. That means we'll still continue to have plenty of water if the we go into dormancy. So during the 42 cycles of dormancy, we have enough water for this to completely run the system. I don't know if it's going to be work if I'm going to, once I set up the electrolyzer, we may need to pull in some more water, but I think it should be fine. I'll have to do some math. Last thing to show you is this system I set up here. This is just a little door lock system that is designed to get rid of gases. So we have a bunch of carbon dioxide and stuff built up in here. Let's see if I can get it to trip it. So this sends a signal if it's not oxygen. Looks like it just turned it on. So this is saying it's not oxygen, which goes through the NOT gate and sends a yes signal. So yes means yes, we have something that is not oxygen. A little confusing. Then this filter says after 5 seconds. So if it stays on for 5 seconds, turn this on. I'll probably turn that to a slightly higher number later on. I just wanted to make sure that it was working. That goes here and trips this to green, which means this sends out a green signal, goes into this filter gate, which sends out a signal after it's been on for 5 seconds. The NOT gate gets it first, goes to this door, meaning that it closes this door. Then it goes down here, and we have a filter gate for another 5 seconds. So 5 seconds later, it will close these doors. Then that signal goes into this NOT gate, which goes into this buffer gate, which lasts for 5 seconds. Or no, this is a filter gate, I'm sorry. For another 5 seconds. So, comes in, it closes this door. 5 seconds later, it closes these 3 doors. 5 seconds later, it sends a signal to reset the system. That signal goes through here, and it goes down and it opens all the doors. If this signal is still red, then when it comes through 5 seconds later, because it will take 5 seconds to go through and reset the filter off, then it will go through and close the doors again. So now let's come out of the automation and we'll let it play. So it closed the doors, it's opening them all up. This one is still not detecting oxygen there, so it's closing this door first, which means the gases now are trapped in here. A few seconds later, 5 seconds later, it closes these doors. So those gases have nowhere to go, so they get deleted. Then it resets and opens all the doors. Of course, we have an autosave right in the middle of it. But then, 5 seconds later, it'll check again. And now that it has oxygen there, it won't close the doors again until we get something other than oxygen on this tile for more than 5 seconds. So that way, if we have a lot of gas that needs to be taken care of, it will just keep going over and over, and it'll have a few seconds to let gases flow in here, and then it'll delete them. So all the gases that are settling down here will just get pumped or get deleted out of the base. I need to work on the timing to make sure I have it right, because I don't want it to like delete oxygen too much, and I want to make sure we don't have gas piling up. But it is working, and I think the timings right now should be okay, but we might want to change them just a little bit. So we can see here, let's see if we can get it to go one more time while we're watching. But that is, yep, there it goes. So it had enough time there where gases was sitting on it that it closed the doors, but now it's oxygen, so when it opens up, it'll stay open until 5 seconds of a gas that is not oxygen being on there. So that natural gas wasn't there long enough. And this one keeps flashing back and forth. So it has to be a consistent 5 seconds where this sensor is not in oxygen. I guess that must have tripped it. So we'll tweak that a little bit. Maybe I'll find a way to condense it down a little bit. The automation's a little crazy, but it'll do the job, and it'll keep us pumping this gas out of the base without having to have a pump to do it. And it'll work good. Oh, I also put in a nature reserve here. Oh, do I have it too cold? Yeah, it's a little bit. So let's go back up here and let's bump this up. 2 degrees. These don't really matter. They're just here to make this a nature reserve, but, you know, I'd still like them to be growing, because why not? But so we just basically made a couple of steel tiles in here so that we could plant in them, brought a pip up, planted some seeds, and now we have nature reserve to give everybody 6 morale. They get private bedrooms to get another 3 morale. They have a washroom for 2. They have a great hall for 6. And they have the decor bonus that is... or decor bonus that is huge. Huge. Anyway, now that we got this done, our next goal will be working on our farms and moving everything here out and getting food settled. And once we have that, we'll start building some automatic rockets that will allow us to go out into space and finish up all of our achievement. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.